The Fallen Angel, a Black Dagger Brotherhood fanfiction. Chapter 6. After Remy pushed herself and got out of bed to spend a few good hours with Zadis in the gym, Torment made the decision to talk to the angel, since he had been driving Wellesley crazy with all the what ifs, since he could not remember anything. Remy, I was wondering if I could have a quick chat with you, Tor posed a little awkwardly. Sure, let me just freshen up and I'll meet you in your office, Remy called, bouncing on her toes towards the female change room. After one of the hottest showers the angel enjoyed, Remy came up to Tor's office and rapped loudly. The door knock was answered with a quick, "Come in!" As Remy entered the room, she brightly greeted the male. "Hi, Tor!" and folded herself into the chair opposite Tor's desk. Tor had no idea how to approach the topic, so he just jumped right in. Since your revelation about our history, I have been debating on if I want to find out or not. I don't want to hurt Wellesley, but I am curious to know what happened, Tor babbled. Remy took a breath. Tor? Wellesley knows, she stated softly to Tor's stunned horror. So the angel continued. Wellesley promised me that she wouldn't speak of it unless she somehow remembered and asked. I filled her in on our night. I left out the explicit details and everything else before I left. I offered to wipe her memory, but she very kindly said that someone had to remember me, which made me cry. As how unfair is it otherwise? So afterwards I even wrote to her about Matthew's birth and where to find him, as Wellesley and I was certain that you would be the one to remember. Wellesley kept me posted on what you were up to. It is nice having that type of friendship. Remy paused, looking concerned at Tor, who had gone a little pale at how matter-of-fact the angel was being. You okay? Remy asked. Yeah. Can you start at the beginning for me? Tor requested. Remy took a breath. I've been bouncing between and a few different places, and Darius's for a couple of years at this point. But Darius had gone away for a while, and he had helped me for my first time, which you were not happy about for some reason. I think you wanted to be my first. Anyway, I was staying with you and Wellesley when she could smell my kneading come on, and she graciously offered you. That was a weird conversation. And Wellesley also pointed out that it was a good deal, as there were no other males in the area, and with the curse, you wouldn't feel any guilt, and Wellesley said that she felt honoured to be helping an angel. Tor nodded and gestured for Remy to continue as she paused. Wellesley went to stay with another female she knew when my cramps started. I remember she kissed me on the cheek and gave me the biggest hug, which made me cry again before heading off. I know it's silly to say, but I made sure that I stayed in the guest room and got you to join me there, even though you kept trying to get me into your room. I stood my ground on that one, as that room is Wellesley's domain. Tor smiled. Thank you for that. So, we did have sex? Remy took a breath. Yes, we did. It was wonderful and satisfying. I don't wish to call it boring, as it was far from that. I think some of the young gave it the term vanilla, and you were the eternal gentleman, Tor, checking on me and making sure that I was sated. Remy concluded on a wistful sigh. It was hard to see who was more embarrassed, Tor or the angel. Tor cleared his throat and stood. Thank you again. Not a problem, Torment. Remy replied, heading out of the office towards the mansion. As Remy walked into the pit, she was interested in trying out the foosball table that Vicious had mentioned to her in Zero Sum, and to check out all the IT toys V had when she found herself facing the vampire in question. Remy smiled to herself and bounced on her feet over to Vicious. Hey V, can you show me all the hardware you got going on? Remy excitedly yelled to V. Yo, turn the volume down, female, V requested. Sorry. I love learning new things. And since computers and IT are the way things are shaping up, I'm loving how all the tiny, intricate pieces fit together to make these work. Remy gushed at a lower volume, her eyes shining. V smiled at Remy's enthusiasm. True. It's very cool. Remy leaned over V's shoulder to have a closer look at what was being shown on the multiple screens. V turned his head and found himself looking directly at the angel's throat and getting a lungful of the petrichor, making the normally composed male close his eyes and nearly run his own nose up her neck. Dear God above, you smell delicious, V stated unconsciously. You have said that to me before, Remy replied, turning her own head slightly and almost making contact with V's full lips, which made the male jump in his seat and push the rolling chair and ultimately himself away from Remy as the smell of her arousal got thicker. As V studied the angel from a safer distance, Remy leaned against the desk, watching all the questions flying through his skull. Remy looked at her Vans, stating, I can see all the questions rattling around in that brain of yours, but you are unsure about if you want the answers or not. Remy adjusted her gaze to V's face. True, V replied, taking in the angel's posture. Remy held the diamond gaze of the brother. I will always tell the truth. Never sugarcoat it, she offered. V sat in the swirling thoughts of his own brain for a minute, tossing questions away, and came up with the only one he felt was the most important. Did I hurt you, Artemis? Remy closed the distance between her and the male and raised his chin so she could look V directly in the eye with her answer. No, you did not hurt me. You tied me down for a good number of hours, and I walked out of that house completely sated. Well, walked is a loose term for how I kind of waddled out with the doggon's help. But you did not hurt me, and I was blissfully happy, Remy replied, punctuating each word. Vicious visibly deflated in relief, as the idea of him hurting the angel really did not sit well with him. Thank you, was all V could think of in reply. Why are you thanking me? I should be the one thanking you. I lost track of how many orgasms you gave me that night, and you left Zack with me too, Remy counted. Who is Zack? V blurted out, as he remembered Artemis rustling off the names of the human young that the Brotherhood left her with. Please don't pick me for your needing this time. I do not want to remember what I would do to you. True? V asked. Remy came over and gave the male a hug. Too true, Vicious, was Remy's reply. Now, how about teaching me foosball, and more importantly, how you rigged the system up? Remy continued bouncing on her feet again. V smiled. You are one strange female, he stated, shaking his head and turning back towards the computer screens to begin explaining what each one was to the angel. I shall take that as a compliment, Remy grinned at the male. After annoying V for several hours, Remy headed back to the main house to see if she could rustle up a snack and ran into Beth in the kitchen. Hi, Remy, Beth smiled. Hey, Beth, eventful day, Remy required. The usual. I wanted to ask you a couple of things, though, Beth posed. Sure. Want to head to the library? Remy replied, picking up her sandwich and a glass of juice. Wow, I'm surprised Fritz let you go into the library with food, Beth stated. He knows how much I treasure books and records, so would be extremely careful, Remy replied on a shrug, picking a chair and taking a bite of her sandwich. So, what questions do you have today? Remy asked around the mouthful of sandwich. Well, I have 3. 1. What happened with Rage? You seemed so sad when you looked at him. 2. Why or how did you become a fallen angel? And 3. Wrath and I noticed that your kneading has only affected 3 of the brothers. Why? Beth asked. Wow, you really are a reporter, Remy smiled. I'll start with the last question. Why only Vicious, Zadist, and Rage? Well, Torment and Wrath have Shellen, so it is unfair to ask them for help, and Fury has his vow. Vicious has requested that I not ask him to help, Zadist has offered, and you'll understand about Rage when I answer that question last. Remy took a breath, a mouthful of juice, and a bite of sandwich before continuing. As I told you before, I crossed the line, and it's a story I have seen play out with many others over the centuries. I fell in love with a human, and they took advantage of me without me realizing that they were doing. That's what they were doing. And when I did realize I was being used, it was too late, and everything fell like a stack of ill-built dominoes, Remy explained. May I ask who? Beth quietly asked. His name was Merlin, and the fucker made me use my powers. Said that it was his magic, manipulated the people around him, put a twit on the throne, and in the end, I was made out to be the enemy, Remy replied. Oh, so who are you in the legend? Beth asked, sensing hot tea to be spilt. With a smile on her face, which in turn made Remy feel a lot lighter about the events that keep her on this side of the fade. Well, in one version, I was the Lady of the Lake, the one who gave Arthur Excalibur. In another, I was Morgana Le Fay, Merlin's half-sister, or even Nimue, his lover. Which is the one that is closest to the truth, Remy explained as Beth laughed. So my last question, what happened between you and Rage? Beth reminded. I thought I had distracted you. Fine. My sister has led me to believe that she had one of her children in mind as a Hellrun for me, and I was so comfortable with Rage and his beast that I thought he was to be my Hellrun. He was the first one that I actually stayed with all night. In the morning, I was devastated when I rolled over in bed and saw the confusion on Rage's face. And of course, all the snide remarks he threw at me. I got dressed as fast as I could and dematerialized before I could cry. For some reason, I didn't want Rage to see me cry. Remy finished on a hiccup, and a stray tear rolled down her cheek. Beth could not think of a reply and let the angel cry, but she did notice a certain blonde brother hovering near the open library door.